The transition was a plunge into a suffocating, roaring inferno. Ethan stumbled down the last metal steps, the grating hot even through his socks, level to hit him like a physical blow. The air was thick, wet, and scalding, tasting of rust and minerals, forcing him to gasp. The roar wasn't just one sound, but a cacophony, the thunderous rush of water through colossal pipes, the deafening hiss of high-pressure steam escaping from leaking joints, the constant drip 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 of condensation raining down from the low, pipe-choked ceiling. Visibility was reduced to a few yards by billowing clouds of steam that swirled. In the dim, flickering light cast by sparse, caged industrial bulbs, the heat was relentless, seeping into his bones, soaking his clothes instantly with sweat that mixed with the falling condensation. He stood in a narrow corridor formed entirely by pipes, massive conduits, some painted a peeling industrial gray. Others, raw, corroded iron, ran along the walls, across the ceiling, and even under the metal-grated floor he stood on. Smaller pipes snaked around them, leaking steam or dripping hot water. The walls themselves were barely visible behind the metallic tangle. The floor was slick with a film of oily water and mineral deposits. It was a claustrophobic, metallic jungle vibrating with the power flowing through the pipes. Every surface radiated uncomfortable heat. He moved cautiously, the roar making it impossible to hear anything beyond the immediate hiss and rush. The steam clouds parted momentarily, revealing junctions where pipes converged into monstrous valve assemblies or disappeared into dark, dripping holes in the walls or floor. He found a small alcove, relatively dry, where the heat was marginally less intense. He pulled out his canteen. The water inside was already warm. He took 2 small, precious sips. The metallic tastes stronger here. He checked his almond water, 3 bottles left. The royal ration cans felt heavy in his pockets. He needed to find more water, safer water. Pushing deeper, the heat intensified near a massive boiler room. Red-hot metal glowed faintly behind safety grates, radiating waves of heat that made the air shimmer. Ethan skirted it wide, feeling his skin prickle. He found a dripping pipe joint where the water ran clear and relatively cool. He refilled his canteen, though it steamed slightly in the air. He drank deeply, the coolness a brief reprieve. He noticed strange, off-white fungal growths clinging to cooler pipes in shadowed corners, pulsating faintly. He avoided them, turning. A corner, he froze. A phaseling stood 15 feet away, its back to him. It was taller than the one in level 1, its rubbery gray skin slick with condensation. It seemed to be listening, its head tilted towards the thunder of a nearby pipe. Ethan slowly backed away, melting back into the steam. The faceling didn't turn. Minutes later, navigating a treacherous catwalk over a deep channel where scalding water churned below, he heard it. A sharp, high-pitched yipping, followed by a guttural snarl. Hounds. The sound came from multiple directions, echoing weirdly off the pipes. He broke into a run, the metal grating clanging under his feet. He risked a glance back. Shapes moved. In the swirling steam behind him, low, scuttling forms with matted fur and too many legs, eyes glowing faintly in the gloom. 3, maybe 4. They were fast, gaining on him despite his head start. He ducked into a side passage, narrower and darker. The pipes here were covered in thick, fibrous insulation that was peeling and damp. He scrambled over a cluster of smaller pipes blocking his path. A hound lunged from a cloud of steam, snapping at his heel. He kicked out blindly, his foot connecting with something hard. The creature yelped, falling back. He didn't stop. He burst into a larger junction point, dominated by a massive, dripping valve wheel. The hounds skidded into the space behind him. Spreading out, cutting off his retreat, They snarled, lips peeled back from yellowed fangs, saliva dripping. Their eyes fixed on him. He had nowhere to go but up. He scrambled onto a cluster of thick pipes running horizontally, using the valve. Wheel for leverage. The metal was hot, burning his palms. He pulled himself up, just as a hound leaped, jaws snapping shut on empty air where his leg had been. He crawled along the pipe bundle, the hounds pacing below, snarling and jumping futilely. He reached a point where the pipes entered a dark conduit in the wall. He squeezed into the opening, the metal scraping his shoulders. It was pitch black inside, the air thick with dust and the smell of hot metal. He crawled blindly, the snarls of the hounds fading behind him, replaced by the oppressive roar of the pipes. He emerged, coughing, into another section. The air here was thick with a different smell, ozone and something burnt. The steam was less dense, revealing, flickering, unstable, fluorescent lights hanging from chains. He was exhausted, his breath ragged, skin burned and stinging from scrapes and the pervasive heat. He pulled out an almond water bottle. Half gone, he took a small sip, the sweet nuttiness, a stark contrast to the metallic water. He leaned against a cooler pipe, trying to catch his breath. The respite was short-lived. The flickering lights above him suddenly died completely, plunging the area into near darkness, lit only by the faint, eerie glow leaking from a crack in a high-pressure steam line. Ethan fumbled for his flashlight. He clicked it on. The beam was weaker now, the battery fading. It swept across damp concrete walls and caught the edge of a familiar, impossible grin. A smiler, its void black face absorbing the light, hovered silently at the edge of the beam, perhaps 8 feet away. It didn't advance, it just existed, radiating malice. He backed away slowly, keeping the beam fixed on it. He turned a corner, hoping to lose it, and his light fell on another figure. It looked almost human, wearing tattered maintenance overalls, facing away from him near a leaking pipe. Relief washed over him. Another person. He took a step forward. "Hey, can you help?" The figure turned. It wasn't human. Its face was a grotesque patchwork flaps of pale, rubbery skin, crudely stitched together, covering something underneath. That pulsed faintly. One mismatched eye, wide and bloodshot, stared at him with chilling vacancy. The other socket was empty, raw, a stealer. It let out a wet, gurgling sound and lurched towards him with surprising speed, arms outstretched, fingers ending in ragged, dirty nails. Ethan stumbled backwards, terror overriding exhaustion. He swung the flashlight beam wildly, catching the smiler drifting silently around the corner he'd just passed, its grin wider now. He was cornered between the two horrors. He spotted a gap, a vertical maintenance shaft with a rusty ladder, bolted to the wall, disappearing upwards into darkness. He lunged for it, scrambling onto the first rung just as the skin stealer's grasping hand brushed the back of his sweat-soaked shirt. He climbed frantically, the metal cold and rough under his burning palms. The climb was agonizing. His muscles screamed. His breath came in ragged gasps. Below, he heard the wet gurgle of the skin stealer and a chilling, low chuckle that seemed to emanate from the smiler. He didn't look down. He climbed until his arms felt like lead, until the sounds from below were swallowed by the ever-present roar of the pipes. He reached a small platform. His flashlight beam, now dim and flickering, revealed a heavy metal door, rusted shut. Above it, stenciled in faded yellow paint, was the number 3, a way out, or just deeper in. He pulled at the door handle. It didn't budge. He braced his foot against the wall and heaved with all his remaining strength, a desperate groan escaping. His lips, rust flaked off. The door groaned in protest. then suddenly gave way with a metallic shriek, swinging inward. Beyond wasn't more pipes. It was a vast, open space, filled with a deep, resonant hum that vibrated through the metal platform under his feet. The air rushing out was hot, dry, and smelled of ozone and hot metal, different from Level 2's wet heat. Giant, complex shapes loomed in the dimness, silhouetted against the faint. Rhythmic flashes of blue-white light that pulsed from somewhere deep within the space. Machinery, massive, active machinery. Level 2's oppressive heat, the steam, the chases, they were behind him, but the thrumming power filling Level 3 felt like stepping onto the heart of a living engine. Ethan staggered through the doorway, leaving the rusted door hanging open. A dark rectangle against the humming gloom of the new level. He leaned against the cold metal frame, utterly spent, his supplies dwindling, his flashlight dying. The relentless energy of the Backrooms pushing him ever onward.